Okay, let's start. So hi everyone, welcome to this webinar and thank you for being here. This is Beatriz from WNB Mexico. Today with us we have Nicolas Baele, who is Global Sales Manager at Unabiz, our Asian partner. They are now developing devices and enabling many solutions that are helping the Sigfox ecosystem grow. So in this webinar called Customized IoT Solutions, Nico will be telling us what they are doing at Unabiz and how they are doing it. We will have, as always, a 45-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. So you can write all your questions at the chat box or at the Q&A box, and we will be reading them at the end. Also, if you'd like to participate during the session, please just raise your hand and we can open the mic for you. The idea is for all of us to interact and have all our questions answered. Nico, good night over at Taiwan. Welcome to this webinar, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolas, as introduced. I'm going to switch off the camera right now, if you don't mind, because I'm actually at home right now and I don't want to use too much of the bandwidth. All right. So welcome today. And actually today I'm going to talk about Unabiz and our customized solutions. First of all, Unabiz is a Taiwanese and Singaporean company. That's why you can see on the first picture of the slide with Taipei 101 and the Marina Bay Sands from Singapore. We are actually the Sigfox operator in both Singapore and in Taiwan. So basically, hold on. Trying to switch. Oh, yeah. Sorry about this. Basically, who we are, what do we do? So once again, we are the Sigfox operator in Taiwan and in Singapore. And over the past few years, basically, we were established about 3 years ago, first in Singapore and then in Taiwan. Let me give you a little bit of background. So basically, what we did at the beginning is the reason why we actually established in those two countries is very simple. We knew that Sigfox was a really good technology, and but the only way to actually make it pick it up was to actually drive all the costs down and bring very low cost solutions to the market. So why Singapore and Taiwan? First, Singapore, because Singapore is the hub, the best hub in Asia. It's like a window where you can pretty much see pretty much everything in Asia. So we established ourselves in Singapore and also in Taiwan, because Taiwan is actually one of the best places to be in the world in terms of manufacturing, and we wanted to leverage from the whole ecosystem of electronic manufacturer to actually do that and have an impact and bring everything at very low cost. So in 3 years, we grew up very fast, from about 5 employees at the very beginning to about 60 now. You can see about 45 on the pictures. That was like about 6 months ago. So the company was actually created by two persons, Henry Bong and Philip Cho. They were actually together at school back in the days. Henry was actually part of Sigfox. He was actually the head of business development for Asia right before he actually moved and changed to Unabiz and established Unabiz. Who are actually our backers? Of course, Sigfox is actually backing us, but we have actually really big companies backing us. We have, of course, NG. We have Advantech, and also recently, last year, we basically closed our A series, about $10 million. and basically Soracom. It's actually a daughter company of KDDI, which is the third number 3 telecom company in Japan. Actually invested in the series. So that's for the little background. Now, why we do what we do? To make it simple, our goal is to have an impact, not only in Taiwan and Singapore, but on a global scale. So to make life simpler, both for people and organization. Therefore, we actually provide expertise in providing Sigfox solutions, but not only Sigfox. We also help organizations to provide the solution that better fits their use case and what they are trying to achieve. Okay. Basically, how do we do it? We have actually 3 lines of businesses. The first line of business, of course, is the connectivity. So as I said before, we are the Sigfox exclusive operator in Singapore and Taiwan. We deploy and we maintain the network. That's one of the first. Then the second is we actually build our own devices, our own Sigfox devices that we promote throughout the whole ecosystem of Sigfox. Right now, it's about 60 countries. So that's quite a lot. And then the third one is the one that I will come a little bit later, is customized end-to-end solutions. So we're not really an SI, but we provide customized solutions, mostly Sigfox, but not limited to Sigfox. So in this customized end-to-end solution service, what do we provide? We actually provide a prototype. We provide, of course, ID design. We can actually go to industrialization, of course, testing, including certification, pretty much everything up to mass production. So you can see a few devices on the top. Those are a few devices that I come a little bit later on. Okay, so those are our own Sigfox devices. Now, as shown on previous slide, we have our own Sigfox devices that are actually spread out in about 30 different countries right now. As a Sigfox operator, we know that customers' pain points. That is why we actually established ourselves in Taiwan in the first place. It is to drive costs down. And we did. We were the very first ones to introduce Sigfox devices at less than $15. Not only buttons, but also all kinds of sensors that are today used in security, in food and beverage, cold chain, facility management, asset tracking and monitoring, hospitality, etc. Of course, we focus on performance, and we only deliver the best in class. All class 0 Sigfox devices, the highest class on this network. I don't know if you know about Sigfox, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's actually during this process that we realized one very important thing. Every customer has a different need. Does not matter it is for form factor, battery capacity and battery life, size of the device, type of mounting, behavior of the solution, frequency of data collection or alerting. It is always different from one customer to another, which means it is almost impossible to have one single solution that fit them all. This is why most of our resources today are focused on customized projects based on specific needs that are actually agreed with the customer before starting the work. So I come to this actually on this slide. What can we actually provide? We can provide in-house device development, which starts from very basic, from the prototyping. Of course, we can do ID design, prototypic conception. We can do PCB layout. We can do firmware development. Of course, we can do mechanical integration to make sure that everything, the PCB actually fits well in the prototypes. Sorry about this. And then basically, usually what we do is with the customers that we work with, we actually ship out the prototypes. And we can do that in actually 6 weeks, which is a very, very short time. Then once they actually agree with accept the prototyping and to move to next phase, we can go to the next phase, which is basically project design. So it's DVT. We call it DVT phase. So that includes actually antenna fine tuning, product reliability test, all the certifications, including Sigfox certifications, but also the local certification. We're very used to work with big laboratories to actually comply with, for example, CE, FCC, or all the other certifications in Latin America as well. And then, of course, we can do tooling. So we can do basically, we can create the molds. And then when we're done with this, we can actually move to certifications and all type of life cycle assessment, of course. And then we can move all the way up to mass production. So, and this, sorry, and this in a very, very short time. I want to emphasize on the 1 to 6 weeks. Of course, not 1 week, but it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to actually come up with a sample, a prototype. So that's actually a very, very, very good time. Now, yeah, sorry. Beatrice, do you mind actually sending the poll for
Yes.
the next
Okay,
one, the next slide?
Yes. We're gonna have one more question, a poll that if you could help us answer very quickly. Okay, thank you everyone for your help. Nico, you can continue.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you.
All right. So basically, my next slide is mostly about the challenges that we face in IoT in general. Those are the ones that we actually encountered in the past, and we're still encountering right now. Those are very complicated, but most of them they can be actually they can be overcome. So the first challenge is, of course, the cost. It's always as low as possible in order for the client to actually justify the investment. That's always what it comes down to. The second one is the lack of specification. So one thing to note is that whenever a company is actually coming to us for a new project, most of them, they actually don't know what they want. They want to do IoT, but they have no specifications, no requirements, or it's actually not complete. It makes things really, really complicated. The third challenge is, of course, priority. As you know, IoT is still very, very early stage at the moment, and it's never the priority. So it's always put in second or third priority, which makes things really complicated because it's hard to actually focus on a project with a client. The fourth one is unclear return on investment. It's very, very complicated to foresee when there will be actually return on investment on this IoT project. And therefore it makes it very, very complicated to pass, I would say, the high level in a company, the high level management. The fifth challenge is actually the new business models. Of course, IoT, it actually involves new business model, not the old, very simple business model where you actually sell a product. It's actually an end-to-end solution, which includes not only the hardware, but now the software, the connectivity, and some installations, pretty much like a lot. And the way to sell it now has completely changed. And it is actually very complicated for, I would say, old-fashioned companies, and the very big multinational when it comes to that, because they have really no idea how to resell to their customers. So that's also one of the challenges. And the very last one, of course, is long trials. It always takes quite a long time in terms of proof of concept and proof of value with the customer. But those of course, it's I would say a phase I need to go through. All IoT projects actually go through long trials, and those are very I would say mandatory. I have a note at the bottom of the slide, because I think it's very important. Everybody's talking about security, but I'd like to say that in most of the projects that we're working on and that we've been working on, security in most cases was actually not an issue. And Sigfox Technology is already doing a great job on this side. And we have actually been working on our own security system in between the payload and the cloud. But this can be asked a little bit later in the questions if you want, if you don't mind. All right. So today I'd like to talk to you about 4 key use cases and key projects that we are actually working on, and those are very interesting. The first one is energy management. So what is this solution? It's actually this solution was actually firstly designed for a specific customer in Singapore that wanted to reduce operational costs. They have several solar panel plants, and they need to monitor several information such as daily, hourly energy generated, the current, etc. This type of information. So we developed a low-cost Sigfox device that we call actually Modbus Reader, as it is working using Modbus protocol RS485 to read the information from the inverters, and then uses Sigfox to transmit the information onto their platform. We have developed a specific customized firmware to deliver exactly what the client was asking for. Now, the Modbus Reader is actually being used by other customers on other industrial projects to collect, for example, chromium bath temperature, level current voltage alerts, and also other IOs. Of course, those are also customized around the specific requirements from our customers. Modbus Reader is actually deployed specifically on industrial sites, I would say, and it is either reducing current operational costs or helping our customers to digitalize their factory. That's for the first use case. This is actually live in several plants around the world. Now, the second use case, the second project that I'd like to discuss about is actually a connected industrial button. Unabiz was the first one to launch Sigfox Class 0 smart button at less than $20, and that actually really delivered. That button is now being used in around 30 countries, including quite a few in Latin America, and in Mexico, in Latin America, in Colombia as well, and in a few other countries. This is how we have been approached by one of the world top 3 industrial company. I won't say the name, but you will find out a bit later anyway. They are the biggest manufacturer and distributor of those, industrial buttons that are used in factories either as emergency button or to switch on or off a machine or a production line. At the very beginning, we've designed working prototypes fitting one type of button casing. Then later on, new prototypes were developed to fit another type of their casing with 2 buttons actually, or switch. And this was extremely challenging as the space left in the box insert, the design module to connect their device was very limited and not leaving much room for the antenna, which is, as you know, if you know Sigfox, the antenna is the most important part. We've designed several models with different antenna types to compare performance and make sure to keep the best radio as possible, knowing that those would be actually used indoor. During this project, the team on the client side was very, very impressed, both by our reactivity, but also our adaptability. And in the end, I think this is the main reason they decided to work with us and not to develop the product internally, because we could actually do it in half, or even I would say 1/3 of the time it would have taken them. It's a huge company, and they have processes and everything, so it takes a really, really long time. Now, this project actually also allowed us to become the first SO, the first Sigfox operator to be accredited with ISO 9001 standard. And it helped us a lot in becoming a more, I would say, organized and more reliable company, as we know have all the proper procedures in place, but we still remain, very agile. This project, right before actually got to mass production, the customer was actually having a very important feedback from several of their clients. Is that basically whenever they're pressing the button, the clients wanted to be alerted that it was actually really connected and there was actually a feedback. So if you're a little bit familiar with Sigfox is very limited on this side. It's actually only 4 downlinks per day. So for this specific use case, it couldn't actually really work. So this happened right before mass production. The marketing team just decided to, to let go. And then what we ended up doing is that we actually proposed the same solution, but using another technology. And, using that technology, there was actually no limitation in terms of downlink. So they thought it would be a good idea, and they were actually very impressed that we could actually adapt using other technologies. So I'd like to emphasize on this, because this project would have never actually worked out if we were not able to adapt and use another technology. Now, I'm not saying Sigfox is bad technology. I think we believe that Sigfox is actually one of the best zero-G technology right now. But as I said earlier, one technology is not fitting all the needs. So, there will always be some projects that actually will require maybe some other technologies that are actually more suitable, I would say. All right, so that's pretty much it for this project. Now, the next project is one of our main projects. It's also one of the one that I'd like to spend a little bit more time on. So, this case, it takes us to Japan, into the utility market. Our customer is actually the second largest gas supplier in Japan, with over 1.5 million clients. They have over 900,000 clients using LPG gas tanks, and all those have a gas meter wired to the tank. They were having troubles finding manpower to make the readings, Those are very, very costly and harder to find. Replacing their existing meters with digital or connected ones was actually not an option. So this is actually what we've been designing for them. I will come to it just a little bit later after this slide. So there is no more and more concerns in regard to the energy and its generation, the distribution, and most importantly, its consumption and how to save it. So the fact that customers always require better and better services, which is an important factor, against competitors. Distribution companies now they try everything to find ways to cut their cost in order to provide the most competitive pricing to customers, so they can, stay loyal. That is the mindset of one of our top customer, actually located in Japan. It's Enya. So yeah. So those what are the 4 challenges of the utilities and energy management? So the very first one, of course, is accessibility. Of course, it's not easy to collect data out of 900,000 households on a regular basis, I would say, and also at the same period of time. This would actually mean huge amount of labor resources, so it's almost impossible. Now, technology-wise, replacing existing meters is very expensive and require even more skilled technicians, even harder to find. Now, cost-wise, manpower needed to collect is both expensive and rare, and this has an impact on the next challenge, which is accuracy. Now, manpower collection does not allow for, I would say, an efficient consumption monitoring, and will be far from precise, which actually leads me to the next slide, which is the solution that we've created. So this is the solution. It's a simple NCU that is NCU. Sorry about this. Network communication unit that is connected to the existing gas meters. It turns existing solution into a smart, I would say, connected one at a very affordable cost. But most importantly, it solves the manpower issue and bring more accurate data for better delivery estimation. So yeah, that's pretty much the product. That's the specifications. I won't stay too long on this one, but of course everything is customized. The PCB layout, the antenna, the mechanical, the ID design was actually made based on their requirements. Same for the firmware. It's actually IP54 industrial grade. It's quite robust, and it's actually super easy to install, which was one of the main requirements. Now, why does it work? I just want to go through very quickly on this. In Japan, I don't know if you know, but Japan is very complicated market, and so we actually work with a partner over there. This partner is called Soracom. They are a very important solution provider. They're also one of our investor. Basically, how it works, Unabiz designed the whole product and providing the whole solution using Sigfox technology. We're actually providing this solution to Soracom, which actually bundles up a software platform as well with dashboard, and provide the total solution and end-to-end solutions to the final customer, who is the gas meter client. Now, this is to show you from the very beginning to the end, from ideation to reality. This actually comes back to the former slide, where we have the phase of about 6 weeks, where there was the ideation of the product. So we came up with several first sketches to represent the requirements that they actually stated to us. And then, so we presented different ideas, they selected one, and so we started the work on the mechanical, of course. Right after that, we started on the PCB, on the antenna, and then we came up with the product that you see at the very end, which is the final product. And then we went to the tooling, to the whole antenna matching and pretty much everything, and to make it class Sigfox class 0U, which is again the highest class, for the best radio performance. So all right, this slide is very important. Basically on the left side, what you see is the very first product that was made by a Japanese company. I won't mention it, but it's a very huge one, and they made a first device design for them, and they were not pretty happy, both by the concept, nor by the price, I would say the cost. So that's how we came in. And if you see on the right side, there's two pictures. And the PCB on the left-hand side is actually from Unabiz, and the right-hand side is the competitor. And at the bottom, the left-hand side is from the competitor, and right-hand side is the NCU that we've designed. And so it has kind of a the form of an egg, of a firefly. It looks pretty nice, and it goes really, really well fitting on the gas, next to the gas meter on the pipe. So let's come to the benefits of this solution, and of course, let's get back to the challenges of the IoT. One of them is the return on investment, and when you actually see it. Now, for this specific case, before the implementation, there was dedicated manpower that had to actually go at the home of the households and take a reading manually. So this is actually prone to error. This is very complicated. There were only one measurement every month, and the cost was actually very, very high because those field workers, are extremely rare to find, and therefore this makes them very, very expensive. Now, after the implementation, they don't need any manpower, so the cost of the manpower is very reduced. As you can see, they have a lot more data. From one data per month, they actually moved up to 720 now. They can use that to forecast their delivery, their gas tanks delivery to their customers. They have timely data logs, of course, that they can use. They can also use the Sigfox downlink to actually turn off the valve of the gas tank when they have, for example, customers that are actually not paying for the bill. So that's very, very interesting. And last but not least, one of the very, very important things is that they collect a lot of data, as I mentioned, and with those data, they can actually reuse those data to resell to other competitors, and this is what they're actually starting to do. So very, very interesting. So that's pretty much for this use case. I'd like to move to the fourth project that I'm introducing. The fourth project is an elderly care monitoring solution. Our customer is based in the US and is delivering expertise and analysis on human behavior, and they are giving sometimes vital advice, I would say, to their customers, mainly caregivers, loved ones of the elderly. It is quite hard, though, to collect information on elderly without being too intrusive. The elderly don't like to carry wearables, such as, for example, a watch or a pendant. I know that because I was in this industry right before joining Unabiz, and they don't want to be watched 24/7 by cameras. Also, I would say existing hardware solution on the market are either working through 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi, which can be rather expensive, or even worse, not available at all in the home of the elderly. So a very simple, non-intrusive solution on Sigfox to monitor on the elderly. We use the combination of temperature sensor, presence sensor, and a pad with current filling, which will feed the platform of our customer, which will then filter and deliver information to the elderly's loved ones. It can be their children, friend, or caregiver. This solution is extremely affordable, and by using Sigfox, it actually enables our customers to get into most of the areas, unlike, for example, Wi-Fi. So that was for the 4 solutions that I wanted to introduce to you. Now, this slide is I just wanted to mention it. Why people are actually working with us. The very first reason I mentioned it in one of the previous slides is that we were the very first one, our very first Sigfox operator to obtain ISO 9001 certification. I think this is a very, very important point. Now, we have a complete dedicated team in R&D. It's about 15 people that are actually focused on designing the IoT solutions. It goes from engineering, hardware engineering, mechanical engineering, firmware, platform, apps, dashboard, integration, pretty much everything. So one of the very, very advantage that we have, and that I repeat again, but we are very, very agile, and so we are very, very fast, and we are also very, very flexible. It can be, of course, in quantity and volume, but it's also in terms of times and resources. Since we are actually very small, we can adapt very, very quickly, and that actually allows us to be a lot more competitive than other companies. Again, we provide actually one of the quickest prototyping service in the market. As I mentioned, we can deliver prototype from the very beginning of the ideation of the industrial design up to the prototyping. It can take as quick as 6 weeks. Now, we guarantee really, really good quality products, and of course at the lowest cost. I mentioned about our buttons and sensors that come around $15, but they are very, very low cost. However, that doesn't mean that we don't focus on quality and on performance. Those are still very, very important for us. That's pretty much it. And of course, we're working with international customers, which I'm actually going to mention in the next and very, very last slide. Our customers are very, very diversified, I would say, if you can see on this slide. This goes from Sigfox operators, of course. You will actually see WND. We're very, very close with WND, and we really appreciate that. We work very, very, very much locally in Taiwan. We work with security companies. The first one, we work with SI. We work with hospitals. We work with smart parking companies, SI, that are helping us to actually win projects locally. And we work with the government, which is very, very important here in Taiwan. In Singapore also, because as I mentioned earlier, we're also based in Singapore. We work with a lot of companies, but we work with the airports, Changi airports, which is actually, I would say, one of the most famous airport in the world right now. We work with a lot of SIs as well, and some hospitals internationally, but also locally in other countries. We work with pretty much a lot of SIs, mostly, but also some distributors, of course. And then, if you can see on the right hand side, the global side, we are very, very proud to be able to work with such multinational companies. We work with Airbus on different projects. We work with ENGIE. We work with Safran, with Schneider Electric, with Soracom, with Advantech, and pretty much, and so on. So those are very, very diversified, I would say, and yeah, we're very, very happy to have them on board. So yeah, that's I think the end of the presentation. So yeah, Beatrice, if you want to take over, sure.
Thank you so much for sharing this information with us.
No
we're
problem.
going to move on to, we have some questions already. And if someone else has questions, you can write them down in the chat box. Okay, so first question. Javier would like to know if the Modbus reader is ready to implement in Mexico.
A very, very good question. Javier, hello. Yes, for sure. The Modbus reader is actually ready to work in Mexico. There's no problem at all. It can work on pretty much all the zones. And it's been actually implemented in over there, not in Mexico, but in the RCZ2 zone. So yes, the answer is yes. So no problem at all.
Thank you. Okay, so Juan wants to know if the NISI gas can alert gas leaks. Can an alert be programmed to?
Okay, yeah, definitely. Okay, on this one, yes, it is actually. I didn't mention too much about this, but what it is doing is it's actually remotely, of course. Sending regular readings, but not only this, it's actually sending alerts whenever there's alerts on the meters. So basically, this is a very specific gas meter that actually has its own alerts. For example, in Japan, they have a lot of terremoto, earthquakes, and what happens that sometimes the meters would actually the meters would actually stop. So you know, those type of alerts, of course, through Sigfox, they are actually being reported. So the answer is yes, definitely. Alerts are actually also reported through Sigfox.
Perfect. Thank you, Nico. Okay, so
Sure.
Pedro wants to know, how will my intellectual property be protected if I decide to share a project with Unabiz to have them develop a device?
Of course, yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. Of course, this is totally linked to the type of contract and the type of NDA that we are actually agreeing upon. This depends very, very, very much on the companies and the clients, but we are very, very open. So I would say there's no specific time. This can all be discussed all together with the partners.
Okay, so Emmanuel from Argentina wants to participate.
Nice.
So, hi.
Hello.
Emmanuel.
Oh no, there's some traffic.
Hey.
Hi.
Now, hey, how are you?
Hello, very good, thank you. How about
Great. Yeah, a bit cold here, but everything's okay. Thanks for the invitation, Nicolas. Nice to hear from you again. I'd like to go further on the talk we had about this Modbus reader in Mexico. The main difficulty we have with this kind of solution is not that it's not adapted to Modbus, but it requires a customized firmware in general, and this is a blocking point for me in this kind of thing, because it actually a real project here. I've just been with the city of Buenos Aires, the authority of the city of Buenos Aires for traffic lights monitoring and programming, for example, reprogramming or configuration. And they have some of them that are on Modbus, and so this solution is really great for that, because it's very easy to implement. The problem is that they want us to make a POC with 20 devices for 20 traffic lights, and the investment that is required for 20, we don't know if we will be elected to do so, to do the project, but the investment may be very high for a POC. So what we discussed, remember, Nico, in Mexico is, since Modbus is a standard and it's quite clear in terms of implementation and parametry. Are you trying to work on a parametry? What's the word for that? A solution that would allow to the partner or us to configure the parameters of the Modbus the Modbus standard?
Yeah. It's a very good question. It's a very good question. Thank you for reminding me. Actually, yes. After our discussion in Mexico, I remember I actually got back to Taiwan and discussed internally with the team, and they said definitely it's possible. The only reason why so far it's not been done is that the team were actually focused on other priority projects, and that's the reason why it was actually not being implemented. But this is definitely doable, and this is where we are actually heading. So definitely a next version will be coming I don't know exactly when, but I will try my best to find out when we can come up with such a solution, so that it can make things a lot easier for you, especially at the very beginning when I know you don't have a lot of resources in terms of funding to make the POC, and therefore it makes a lot more sense to actually have the parameters already integrated, and so that they can actually change those parameters based on the type of module, Modbus equipment they have.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, am I still on? Yes.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's good for us and it's good for you in terms of volume, because you have one product and not I don't know, 20, 50 different products.
Yeah. You're right.
Somewhere.
I know. You're right. And actually, to be honest with you, those firmware are what's killing us, because every time it takes such a long time to actually develop the customized firmware, to test it, to make sure there's no like bugs or something. So it's really time consuming. So definitely, as I said, we've discussed that internally, and it will be in our next solution that will be I would say developed and launched. But in terms of timeline, at the moment, I'm not able to answer you, but definitely I will keep you updated for sure, Manu.
Please do, because if we don't have this fast, or fast enough, we won't be able. We will need to work with a local partner, which doesn't have any certified Modbus Sigfox transceiver. So it would be great, and I think it would be the first Modbus reader that would have this functionality. Yeah. So that would be really great.
It's true. Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate that. And look, let's take that offline. Sorry, and let's work on this together. Whatever requirements you have, and then we try to make it work as soon as possible. All right.
Great. I charge very low.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's good to talk to you.
Thanks, Nico.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you,
Nico. Okay, so we have more questions. Do you have any energy or water metering devices?
Okay, very good question. In terms of water meter, we don't have any solutions right now. We are working, the Modbus is actually working with, I would say, flow meters in some factories that we're actually monitoring at some clients. So this can work with flow meters, not with, actually everything that's compatible with Modbus can be working. Now, with energy, we're also using this. So, as we did, we can actually always develop a new solution. But at the moment, because as I said earlier, there's different needs from pretty much every customer. So it's very complicated to have one solution that fits everybody. So again, we can come up with a solution, but this depends on the type of device that has to be monitored. So the answer is no, we don't have a specific solution apart from the Modbus reader that can pretty much be working for all Modbus compatible equipment. So I mentioned a flow meter, a level sensor, temperature sensor. So I can work with a lot of those, but we don't have one specific solution for energy or meter or reading.
Thank you, Nico. Yeah, so they can just contact you.
Yeah, exactly. I left the page with my email address. So feel free to contact me if you have any interest in working on some projects together.
Okay, so next question. Are you ready?
Yep.
Why is security not an issue for your projects?
Sorry, what was that?
Why you mentioned that security is not an issue?
Yeah.
For your project, so they're asking why.
Okay, why is a very good question. To be honest, most of the clients they haven't really, I would say, raised the topic in most of the cases for several reasons. The very first one, Sigfox, as I said, is actually already quite secured in its own way, the technology, how it works. I'll let you explain to the customer if if they want on Sigfox, but it's already pretty secured, so I don't think it's a problem. And then I don't know, in today's implementation of all our projects that we had, we never faced really that issue. Only one customer actually raised that matter. It's actually one of the biggest industrial company in the world. They raised that matter, and we had, I would say, about 3 to 4 meetings with their top how do you call that, cybersecurity management team, and in the end, we ended up just dropping the whole thing because that was not, I would say, that was not a problem. Because again, Sigfox is quite secured, and because in the end, there was actually no such issue. But I mentioned at the end of at this slide that we actually at Unabiz we are working on a solution, a security solution that is very, very interesting because it is actually securing totally in between the payload of the device and the cloud. We have actually a cloud that is called Unabiz, and so that part will be completely secured by a specific way of security. We are actually right now under I would say patenting this security. So please stay tuned, and we will have some more information on this in I would say in the next few months. If you are still interested in security.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Jose wants to know more information about the Unabeacon. Maybe if you can explain a little,
okay.
Some use cases that you've used it for.
Yeah, no, for sure. So very interesting. The Unabeacon is actually a very, very simple solution. It's actually using an accelerometer and also Sigfox technology. So it's using Sigfox technology and Sigfox Atlas geolocation technology, which is not the most accurate in the world, but based on the location that you are, basically it can actually give you an accuracy of in between 500 meters and 1 kilometer, I would say. For a lot of companies, a lot of asset tracking technologies that want to keep an eye on their assets is actually very, very a very good solution because for several reasons. The very first one is very, very low cost. Is around $15 US. It's very simple, and yeah, it can actually it can work pretty much everywhere. It can work in pretty much every single zone of Sigfox, so pretty much everywhere in the world. So on top of that, it actually has an accelerometer, so you can actually know whenever an asset has been moved. So again, it's not super accurate. However, if you want to know if your asset is in warehouse A, warehouse C, or D, it is actually enough. So I would say if you want to monitor and keep an eye on your assets at a very, very low cost, this is one of the best solutions right now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions. So Victor is asking that, well, in water and gas metering, the most important characteristic they're looking for is to have the valve remotely controlled in addition to the metering. Do you have any devices? I think you said you don't have for water, but
no, it's a good question. I mean, I think this is possible. There's two ways. I mentioned in the use case with the customer in Japan that we are actually doing this. We're actually doing this using. Let me come back to one of the slides. I hope you see. There's one slide right here, basically where the NCU, the network communication unit, is connected to the meter through a cable. This is actually using what we call it's a 5-bit, it's binary protocol, very specific to this gas meter. So the NCU, whenever it actually receives a downlink from Sigfox, or from the cloud, for example, sends a downlink to the NCU, and the NCU through the cable that actually goes to the meter. There's a specific protocol, and it's actually sending a command to turn off the valve. So remotely, right now, on this specific use case, we can do it because there's a specific protocol. Now, I don't know for this request how it is. I think we would need to get into more details, and definitely I'd be happy to go through that. But I'm guessing, this is actually a pure hardware. So it's not going to be through a command. So definitely we can work on this, on having a solution around this. But today, I don't know how it works and what kind of meter it is. But yes, definitely we have some expertise that we can actually work on around those projects.
Thank you. Okay, so do you have experience in integration on petrochemical and explosive environments?
Oh,
binary petrochemical.
Okay. This one is a very good one. We do not have experience on this right now. It's a very good one, but we are very. I mean, there's a start for everything, and we're very happy to discuss how we could actually help on this. We actually, I think one of the things I didn't mention is that we have a very strong ecosystem of partners, of course in Asia, because we are mostly located in Asia, but also all around the world. So definitely, I'm pretty sure there are some things that we can help on. So again, I go back to that slide. If you have any interest and you think that we could be a fitting partner, then please do not hesitate and send us some more information, and we can try to look at it together. But yeah, the answer is no. Today we do not have experience on this. We are actually working on a project right now that involves a device that is going to be certified by ATEX, so anti-explosion. So we will get some more experience, but today at this specific time, we do not. So that's the answer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, a couple more questions only.
Okay.
Jose wants to know, how long does it take to develop a prototype firmware and hardware? I think you said from 1 to 6 weeks, but maybe you can elaborate a little.
Yeah, no, for sure. Basically, this depends on the complexity of the project. If for example, some projects require IP67 casing, those are a little bit more complicated because they require more time, especially on the design, on the ID design, and also on the mechanical part. But this is only one of the sides. And then the second side that is also important is, I mentioned in one of the slides earlier, but most of the clients, I would say like 80% of the clients, when they come to us, they never know what they want. So in terms of behavior of the whole solution, of the whole device, they have really no idea how it's going to work. So we need to work this out together. And I would say the more information the client has at the very beginning, the better it will help, and the faster we will be able to make this prototype and to deliver on this prototype. So if you have all the specifications about the product that you are trying to make or to develop, basically, if you have all the information in terms of behavior, in terms of firmware, how you want your firmware to actually behave, when it's going to send an alert, at what frequency and everything, then I can guarantee that we are very, very fast. So if it's not a super, super complicated project, basically we can deliver prototypes in 6 weeks. If it is a more complicated project with more complex ID design, more sophisticated design and firmware, then it might go up to 9 weeks. So I would say in between 5, 6 to 8, 9 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, one last but very important question.
Sure.
Pedro wants to know, is it possible to have some samples in Mexico in order to test the solutions?
Okay, which solutions specifically?
I don't, all of them, I guess.
All of them, okay. I think you have the UNES sensors, right? If I'm not wrong.
You're right.
Well, what I can organize, one of the things that I could organize is, of course, a Modbus reader, even though I'm not too sure this would be actually useful, because the firmware is specific to one equipment for our customers. So I'm not sure this is actually useful. The gas meter reader, the NCU, same thing. And I'm thinking, what else? I mean, this is definitely possible to arrange in the extent that this actually makes sense, that you can have maybe some workable demo over there. Right now, we on top of the solution, there's
Nico.
something that I didn't mention, but I think
Nico.
at least, I think Juanita mentioned it, but we have a Monarch dev.
Nico.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you get closer to the mic, because some people are having trouble hearing.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Is it better?
Yes, well, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, no, I was saying basically, definitely we can arrange this. I think you have some of the solutions already over there at WND in Mexico. And for any other solutions, please either contact us or contact Beatriz or the colleagues at WND in Mexico about the solutions that you are interested in. And then we can definitely work on something to arrange samples or demo, for example, videos to provide to you.
Thank you, Nico. Well, I guess this is all. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I mean, this was a pleasure actually to hold this webinar today. Again, I left this slide with my email address. Please don't hesitate to contact us. Also, Beatrice, if you have any other requests or any other channel partners that are interested, you can also send more information to Juanita. She will also be pleased to answer to all the questions and requests from Latin America. And I apologize today for not making this in Spanish. I wish I could do it in Spanish, but I'm not.
Next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. But I really appreciate also that we can make it in English. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for staying up late so you can share this information with us. And thank you everyone for being here. Please be aware of our next webinars. And well, that's it for today. We will be sending all of you the presentation, Nico's presentation, on your email. And well, talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.